Incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 155 of the Grove Podcast. Now, thank you for listening and I hope you're all doing really well and all aboard the Arteta fun boat, enjoying the fact that we are undoubtedly the best team in Europe, or at least the best team in the Europa Champions League group phase, after beating the mighty Kairat, or is that the Kairat Almaty? I don't know which way around it is. But anyway, in yet another 3-2 game. I think we need to stop having these. But anyway, last night ending the group phase of the competition with an incredible 8 wins in 8 games, scoring 23 goals, letting in 4, half of which were amazingly scored last night by the worst team in the competition, which basically sums up Arsenal at the moment. But yeah, anyway. Joining me today to talk plans about meeting up in Budapest on the 30th of May and making a welcome return to the pod after his cameo post Aston Villa is Andy. How are you doing? And have you booked your flights and hotel yet?
I'm good, thank you, my friend. I'm good. I hope you're good as well. No, flights have not been booked, but I am reliably informed by our good friend Moz that he has secured us what sounds like a 2-star Airbnb on the outskirts of Budapest airport for the big event in May. But
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll maybe have a look myself just because I don't quite trust his selection of hotels or hotel rooms.
Or just don't trust Moz. Full stop. There we go. And that being Moz, friend of the pod, and so on. Yeah, no, I hear you. But yeah, you're making me nervous now. I'm just saying that as a joke, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got a hotel booked ready." Oh bloody hell!
Yeah, us Scottish boys have to be prepared. We're coming from a much further distance than London, you know. So yeah,
there we go. Have you been to Budapest before?
I have actually. Me and some friends while we were at uni went to a festival out in where was it, Lake Balaton near so we flew into Budapest and then got the train, and then on the way back spent a couple of days in Budapest. And let's just say if we do get there, I will be yes, certainly adding on a few days at the end just to A, recover, but B, enjoy the city, because it is a fantastic, probably my favourite, and this is potentially going out on a limb, but probably one of my favourite European capital city.
Very nice. I think I've been there a couple of times with work and stuff like that. Yeah, no, pretty nice place. Anyway, fingers crossed, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But after this, I'm going to get on booking.com to have a look what's available. Anyway, look, enough of that. So in today's pod, we will take a look back at the Kairat game. We'll look a bit at the Champions League standings and how they finished and what's going to potentially happen in the KO knockout stages, and our route to Budapest, route to the final. And then we'll also do a preview of the vital game against Leeds on Saturday. And look, before we do that, as always, just a quick favour, if you can leave us a little 5-star rating, leave go and subscribe on the podcast apps on our YouTube channel at the Grove AFC. Really appreciate it. We do notice the difference when people do that and help spread the word. So if you can, that would be very kind of you, and goes a long way, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, enough of that. Arsenal 3, Kairat Almaty 2. Before we get onto your sort of highlight, lowlight, what did you make of the starting lineup? So we went sort of fully rotated. I guess there was a bit of a surprise to see Havertz starting and then starting in midfield. I think it was good to see Calafiori back because I think we've missed him. Everyone else expected a few kids on the bench, but yeah, were you happy to see that much rotation? Yeah, what did you think when you saw that lineup?
Yeah, I mean, definitely happy to see that sort of rotation. Although my first initial reaction when I had a look at it was that it was a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be. But then kind of as I was looking at the graphic that Arsenal shared, I was like, well, who is actually going to play instead of them? And I think that's just reflective of how much depth we have in there. So it was nice to see. Definitely, I agree with you 100%. Definitely nice to have Calafiori back. Definitely, Kai Havertz's return was very much welcomed, and I'll maybe come on to him a bit later on as well. But yeah, generally was happy with it. It actually made me even kind of more excited for the game, because I think a bit of a dead rubber at the end didn't need to kind of get a result, or really you're kind of mainly looking at that game as a chance to respond to Man United. But yeah, it kind of made me more excited to see how kind of Kai and Gyökeres would interact with each other. Another opportunity to see Calafiori at centre back, the role he plays for Italy, which is always an interesting kind of opportunity to see how he translates that into the Arsenal team. So yeah, I was pretty happy with it. And again, good to see Eze in that left 8 role. Because I think I'm not sure if we'll see him there on Sunday. I think we'll potentially see him in the starting lineup, maybe not in the left 8 role on Sunday, obviously, as Declan Rice comes back. But yeah, definitely good to see the rhythm and the smoothness in his game.
Yeah, no, I think, and look, and it just reflects, actually, we've now got practically a fully fit squad, I think, since the first time this season, because I think even we went into the opening game of the season, I think there was potentially a couple of injuries. So, other than Max Dowman, and he's a 15-year-old, and you can't really, okay, he's in the squad, but if you think about it, so that, this is it. So yeah, this is these are the people who aren't getting minutes or coming back from injury and stuff. So yeah, you're right. It's this team. If you had this team just as a normal team in the Premier League, in the Champions League, you'd think it would do quite well. So it's, it was good to see. And you're right. Who else are you going to do there? Because it's not like you need to rest any of them. And so, but the subs were we did have some. Stepford and Porter, so not even Raya as a goalkeeper, and then we obviously had Salmon, Bailey Joseph, and Ibrahim on the bench. So at least we gave an opportunity, and obviously they had chances later on. But yeah, so we had a pretty youngish bench. But good to see, and good to have these players back, and it's a nice problem. I think it's a problem that Arteta needs to resolve, but it's a nice problem to have as we sort of go into Leeds. But before we get there, and look, before we get to your highlight, low light, I'm going to get this out of the way early. Everything we discuss in terms of the Kairat game is, of course, caveated with the fact that it is Kairat Almaty, who are, they were the worst team in the Champions League. They finished rock bottom with one point. There was zero jeopardy in the game. We had that fully rotated team. So, of course, that will influence a lot of the outcome, a lot of what happened. But I still think it merits some of the substance in terms of what we're going to talk about and some of the takeaways and so on. So, so rather than saying, yes, we know it's Kairat, yes, we know it's, all this, we're just going to go through just with that assumption in the background. So with that in mind, what were your highlights and lowlights from last night's game?
I think my highlight is entirely standing at the front door of Mr. Kai Havertz. I appreciate he only played 45 minutes, but a goal and basically a goal and 2 assists pretty much. I think Gyökeres technically got the assist for the Martinelli goal.
I'm calling that a miss, not an assist.
Yeah, exactly. I think the stats might show it as a Gyök miss / assist, but I think in our hearts we've already given that to Kai Havertz, and I think to come back and look so, again, taking your you
don't have to say that anymore. We've got that. That's there. I think when I put this on YouTube, I'm just going to have that in a big corner in the start. Yes, we know.
Yeah.
caveat in bold letters.
Exactly. But yeah, to come back after so long out and look so kind of physically dominant, I don't really know if there was much more you could ask for from a player coming in. I mean, that physical dominance is something that was talked about a lot in pre-season. There was all those images being shared around kind of various group chats and on Twitter and stuff like that about his increase in muscle and what that might mean for him either playing in the 9 or playing in the 8. And then to lose him so early in the season and that sub appearance against Man United just feels like such a missed opportunity for this season and kind of what might have been again with that link up with Gyökeres. So I think having 45 minutes into his legs is my highlight. The physical performance of him was great, and I think just there was also a bit of flair in there as well, like flicks, knock-ons, through balls, obviously for the assist for Gyökeres after only a few minutes. So yeah, I think really enjoyed. Really enjoyed his minutes.
Before you get to your low light, I was the same. That was my primary highlight, his return. And it was interesting that he was in midfield because, there's always that chat, is he a midfielder? Is he a centre forward? And he's sort of neither one nor the other. And he's sort of like the hybrid. But he a bit like how Marino's come in and when he's played either left eight or right eight, or he's played up front, he just that presence. But what I really liked about him yesterday, he was very direct. He was looking to play the ball forward all the time, play it quickly, and I don't want to, Odegaard's been a bit of a lightning rod for a lot of our issues recently, and he's part of the problem, not the problem. But just to see the contrast of what he was doing and what he was trying to do, it was nice to see, because we've all been sort of crying, we need to get the ball up for. We need to be faster with getting the ball out, getting the ball through, and stuff like that. And the way he was linking up with Gyökeres, looking for him, and look, within the first minute, it worked, and it was there. So I was really pleased to see that, incisive, direct, moving the ball quickly from him. As you said, he was involved in the 3 goals. Gyökeres' goal, and let's see how that partnership evolves. And look, the good thing is, yes, he can play in that midfielder role, that hybrid midfielder role, but then also we can play him up front. So it's one of these nice problems to have. The thing is, we just need to be careful, and I think it was planned 45 minutes. That's what you're going to get. I'm sure he wanted to stay on, but we need him for February, March, April, May. We don't. If we screw him over in January, we're just going to be back in the same place. We do need to manage that. We need to be just very, very careful with that. And look, there was I think the most silly stat out of yesterday's game was the fact that Kai Havertz is the first Arsenal player to score against an opponent whose first 3 letters are the same as the first 3 letters of his first name since Lee Dixon against Leeds in 1996. Which is just ridiculous. So, and this is what the internet is for, kittens and that sort of stat. So that was really good to see that. Like going forward, how do you see him fitting into the team? Do you see him as being our primary centre forward, or do you see him taking up a more of a midfield role? Because I was sort of going through the various options. You could have in midfield Odegaard, Havertz and Rice, or Zubi, Rice and Havertz, or Rice, Eze and Havertz. Where do you see him sort of I'm not talking about Leeds, but how do you see him fitting into our team in the coming games and weeks?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is very much resuming that number 9 role and playing that kind of facilitator from up there to get Saka and either Martinelli or Trossard, whoever starts on the left, into the game a bit more. I think probably the best period of attacking football under Arteta, maybe save for that first few months where we just signed Jesus, has been that kind of January to May period of a couple of seasons ago, and Kai Havertz was an absolute cornerstone of that period. So for me, I would prefer a midfield of Rice, Zubimendi and Eze or Odegaard, depending on which game it is. I wouldn't have personally Kai Havertz in that left 8 role, but I do want him in the starting 11. So for me, that's up top.
No, indeed. But as I said, it's a good problem. He could drop back. As I said, Marino's come in and done that role, and actually he's looked quite effective. So, and Havertz is an upgrade on Marino. So, and maybe it depends, and we will get to it. It depends on the games, the game that we're playing, the game state, the physicality we want to have there. Whether you want tricky, diminutive players who sort of like trying to sort of death by 1,000 passes type stuff, or you need a bit more of a direct sort of robust sort of have that height and that presence. So there we go. Look, as I said, good problem to have. It's great to see him back, and we even noticed it straight in that again. I know it was only Portsmouth, and then even just Chelsea when he came on, you could just see that's what we've been missing. And a lot of time players go out and they get better as they go out, and then they come back in and say, oh, actually no, they're the same, like Jesus. But no, we've definitely seen I think an improvement when he's come on. We've seen the difference he makes. So yeah. I think
it's also the improvement or the potential, and maybe forecasting a bit too strongly here, but the potential improvement in Gyökeres as well, because obviously we've asked a lot of him from a pressing perspective and a kind of channel running perspective. But if Kai's on for 60, 65, 70 minutes and Gyökeres gets the last 20, like, I mean, out wide last night, he looked great. Like, he looked like some of the balls he was playing in, like, so if some of his touches in the middle of the park were kind of a bit dodgy and he was missing things, and his link up wasn't great, but we didn't buy him for that. We bought him for the speed, the penetrating runs, and the finishing that we've seen in the first minute. So if he's able to kind of save that energy for those final 20 minutes where we might be against, for example, a Man United, or well, not again this season, Man United, but we might be in a similar position again to what we were on Sunday, needing a goal, needing 2 goals, then there can't be many better kind of
could be a good option
to bring on.
And maybe that's it. He just takes the pressure off Gyökeres a bit, and maybe that will help him and stuff like that. So let's see. So and what would you say was your low light then from yesterday?
I think just generally the second half. I'd made some pretty big predictions about dams bursting after 60 minutes, so it was slightly disappointing.
After 60 seconds, let alone 60 minutes.
It was slightly disappointing not to get a goal in the second half. Obviously, Jesus was chalked off, but I think it felt a bit turgid. But then again, it's like I think if I was sitting here with a 6-1 victory but 2 injuries, I would be more angry than a 3-2 victory and no injuries. So it's kind of a small low light, but it would have just been good to keep that entertainment vibe going on from the first half, because like I said, that first half was enjoyable, and a slight low light that it didn't continue on, but nothing major.
Nothing, the first half was indeed good fun, and so actually had one of my highlights was that we created a lot of open play chances, did nothing from set pieces, which is half the battle. However, that leads me into the low light, which is we didn't take as many of our numerous chances, and we didn't score more. Now, as people are saying, we should have won by X goals. Now, I have this little theory that I prescribe to the butterfly effect, that if you score one of those chances, the other subsequent chances may not happen. However, we were definitely good enough, and they were poor enough that we could have scored a lot more than the 3 we did. So it was a bit of a shame that, given all the open play creativity that we had, we just didn't have that lack of end product, and especially with certain players that were at fault with that, we just didn't have that, and maybe there was an opportunity there to sort of like what's been going on in recent games, just to sort of put some of those lack of end product issues to bed. And it would have been nice to see that, because it just fills you with confidence no matter who you're playing. It just feels good, that feeling of the ball hitting the back of the net no matter who you're playing against. And so it would be nice to see that, and counter to that, again, I've got a couple of lowlights, and the counter to that was, again, conceding unnecessarily. The penalty was a bit lazy by Calafiori, and then the last kick or head of the ball in the second half that we switched off. It doesn't matter, but it sort of does, because it's a habit that we need to kick, and I'm sure Arteta would be annoyed with that. And then there was this stat yesterday, was that 4 of Arsenal's 8 games have finished 3-2. So in January, this again, 4 of Arsenal's 8 games in January have finished 3-2, 1-3, lost 1, conceding 11, which is our highest total in a month since December 2023. So overall, we've just kept 5 clean sheets in our last 20 matches, having kept 13 from our first 16 games. Are you concerned, or is it just regression to the norm?
That's a good question. I don't know if I'm kind of more concerned about conceding because we don't look as strong going forward, if you know what I mean. Like, I think, and I'll maybe come on to talk about this in a bit later on, about the kind of general strength of the Premier League. I think, every Premier League team just seems to have an ability to score from kind of anywhere. So I'm not necessarily worried that we're conceding 1 or 2, but it's more a concern because we're not doing it at the other end, in the same way like previous seasons we might have seen Man City blow teams away, or Liverpool kind of historically blow teams away. I guess a slight concern that a team that kind of usually prides itself on its defensive kind of organisation and resilience is kind of conceding a wee bit more. But I think once I like to think that once we fully get our head back in it, that will that will shore things up at the back. I'm not too worried about that at the moment, though.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all the stuff. Like we were being uber excellent at the beginning of the season, not conceding, and we were thou shalt not pass type stuff. But I don't think that would ever continue and so on like that. So I think there is a slight regression, but there is a slight how we are at the moment. There's also the element of like during that period, like in the last 20 matches, how many different centre back or how many back four combinations did we have? If we carried on with Saliba and Gabriel, if we carried on with Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori in all those games, assuming fitness, blah, 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 we would not be conceding the amount of goals that we did. So I think there's an element there that can understand and can explain it, and then we just need to get that rhythm and mentality back. And there's slight regression, slight just inconsistency of defensive units and so on. And I think we're all thinking that, or we're all hoping that Man United is where we bottomed out, and then we from now on we push on and we have a bit more seriousness. I think they're all seriousness, but it's just a bit more due care and attention. And I think we just letting some back. So it is a habit thing. I think Arteta talked about it before when he said when you're playing all the time, habits come into it, and you can't. It's hard to train those out or go back on the training pitch just to work on those because you're just being play rest. So I think maybe there's a chance to recognise that and move on. So it's concerning if we carry on that trend. So at the moment, not massive concern, but we got to see how that goes, because especially in cup competitions, if you can have nil against your name, you're going to win more matches than not. So we'll see. And look, my final low light is bloody Jose Mourinho, still causing Arsenal pain after all these years. Yesterday, Real Madrid were playing Benfica. Jose Mourinho is the manager of Benfica. I'm not even sure he's lost a game with them being main manager. And had they drew or won, then it would have meant City would have had to play 2 extra games, which would have been an added hindrance as we're challenging for the title, and why not? But Jose scuppered that. And look, other clubs messed up. I think Atalanta messed up, and other clubs messed up when they should be winning games. So instead, yesterday we had the worst outcome. Spurs qualified top 8, Chelsea's qualified top 8, and City qualified top 8. I mean, Liverpool are always going to. So I wouldn't have minded Spurs and Chelsea getting top 8 if it meant City dropping out. But no, all the Premier League clubs got the result that they wanted, and also it means Marseille got knocked out. So no more Champions League minutes for Ethan. So yeah, fuck you, Jose.
Did you see the scenes though? Did you see the scenes from the goalkeeper at the very end?
No. Well, I was watching it in the concourse and trying to hope for it. But I was like, 3-2. It's not going to happen. I walked out, and then I heard a big cheer, and I couldn't work out what it was. And then I just see all the group chat, and then my son messaged me, and then I saw the video. So yeah, it was insane, because I don't think Benfica realised that they needed that goal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, tell me about it. I don't know, because I wasn't watching it, so
I only flicked it on for the last 5 minutes, and it wasn't actually the full stream of the game. It was kind of that TNT Sports like panel commentary over the game, and you were getting kind of the kind of Joe Cole, Gerrard, and Ali McCoy were very much in the Benfica camp of wanting them to go forward and get another. But yeah, I couldn't tell whether they knew whether they needed to score or not. I think Mourinho definitely did,
right.
But the players themselves, I'm not 100% sure. Although the reaction to the goal would suggest they maybe did, but I think I just love always seeing a goalkeeper get a goal. I think it's one of those quirks that you never see. So when you do see it, I love seeing it. But I think if I was a Real Madrid fan today, that the free kick that led to the goal, I would be absolutely furious. Like I don't think that was a free kick that Jude Bellingham gave away. But
Okay.
in Europe,
and they were down to 10, 9 men, weren't they? So now when they play their first knockout game or playoff game, they're missing 2 players for the home leg. But it is what it is. It would have been a nice bonus, but instead it didn't happen. We just got to deal with it. But anyway, so in terms of the Kairat game, so we had, in terms of the stats, we had 66% possession to their 34. I think here it says an XG of 3.94. I've seen 4+. They had an XG of 1.1, but I'd say 0.8 of that is the penalty. We had 25 shots to their 4. We had 11 on target to their 2. We had 10 big chances to their 2. And we missed 8 big chances, and look, I also look at the momentum and filter and stuff like that. It's just basically all red apart from 2 tiny yellow bits. So look, we were going to dominate this game. It was just going to be the way it was. It's just going to be, what we did there with that dominance and how much we wanted to do. So just in general, how did you just feel about the game, way we played, the result? Yeah, any particular thoughts on that? Any particular players that sort of stood out as above Havertz and that we talked about?
Generally, I think kind of that. Just generally felt like a game of 2 halves. Like that first half was entertaining and enjoyable. Already talked about Havertz. Second half was just kind of not getting too bothered by it, but it was just a pretty dull watch. I did like seeing. I did enjoy Miles' performance though.
Mm-hmm.
We were obviously over in the San Siro for the previous Champions League fixture against Inter, and I thought he had a good game there. And I thought he continued that on. Not to a point in which I would maybe include him in away Premier League fixture defence lineups, but I thought it was good to see him kind of slot into midfield, play those kind of getting on the ball, playing passes. I did enjoy his performance. Norgard as well, so he was decent. Good to get him minutes, because I know he was in the press and in the press conferences talking about his kind of his lack of minutes and his disappointment there. So it was good to kind of for him to come in and basically hit the ground running and pick up where Zubimendi has previously left off.
Yeah, no, I thought but the good thing about Miles, he looked defensively, he didn't really have anything to do. But going forward, he was looking to play those balls between the defender and the fullback, so between the right back and the right centre back. You could see him trying to do that. He was being a bit more aggressive on that point of view. He even had a shot or 2 and stuff like that. So I think from an attacking sense, he was looking like his old self. And as you say, Norgard did a nice job. At the back, it was sort of like cleaning things up and then just laying off, just keeping it simple. And maybe that's where we need to be at the moment. It's just keep things simple, keep the ball moving. Nothing too flashy. Let's just get back into that rhythm, and then we build on that. So it was nice to see that. I mean, look, in the grand scheme of things, this game, this result, the performance didn't really matter at all. And 3-2 does not reflect the game at all, and it's a bit silly. And it should have been so much more in our favour. But for me, the primary objective yesterday was get the job done, minimal effort, minutes to fringe players and players returning from injury, not picking up any new injuries. And then, as we've discussed, see how partnerships work and give a chance to those playing into form. So I think we ticked all the boxes on that front. So that was it. And I thought it was just quite nice being at a game with no stress. You can just watch it for what it is and stuff. And I must admit, I spent half my time looking at the Champions League table, hoping that Man City would drop out and see what happens. So like there was, and the atmosphere in the Emirates actually, the crowd, even though I think there might have been a few thousand, 5, 6, 7,000, you didn't notice it, and the crowd seemed pretty good. It was a very genteel crowd, and it was like murmuring and chatting, and people got behind. And actually, Arsenal, I actually drove past Brentford, the GTEC Stadium, and I thought, actually, I'm sure a lot of people might have been there yesterday who went to see the women play at the GTEC, and it was sort of quite bizarre me driving past there to get my train to the Emirates, seeing Arsenal fans there, sort of thing. So, but no, in all, I think it was just quite again, low stress, nice bit of entertainment. Would have been great if the second half delivered, and I think there's a couple of players that fought for that, but other than that,
maybe
not
even,
much.
Maybe even an opportunity for a lot of fans that don't often get to go to get to the Emirates, either their first or kind of one of their first games, or
a lot of
first
the fathers and kids and stuff like that sort of thing. Yeah, that
had
sort of thing.
A pre-season feel, because, like you said, the pressure wasn't there. We were playing against a bit more of a kind of unknown, I suppose, but also a lesser team, which I guess have all fed into the atmosphere that you would have.
Yeah, and look, and the Kairat fans were great. You could sort of hear them. It was like oddly high pitched, but it was like being at a youth football match. But it was oddly high. But they even when they got their 2 goals, even the 3-2 goal, they got wildly excited and stuff. And I think I don't know how many made the 4,000 mile or however many mile trip it was, or how many are just UK based or European based Kazakhstanis. But yeah, they were in good spirits as well. So yeah, it just in general was just like a nice game that you really can't really take too much out of, but you can just enjoy for what it is, because I don't think no matter what we did in that game, other than minutes for players, it has no reflection on what's going to happen in the Premier League. So there's not much more than that. So look, in terms of how the game progressed, and they said the first half was loads of chances, and look, we kicked off in the second minute with the Gyökeres goal. It seemed like a very Gyökeres goal, as in good run, couldn't control the ball. Somehow it's in front of him, twats it hard, and it goes in. It was nice to see, and I thought everyone's thinking, oh, big scoreline incoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's what we bought him for. It's what we thought we were going to get. I think a bit more of in the first 4 or 5 months of the season.
Yeah.
It's kind of classic Gyökeres, actually. Like, we got that good finish, but then he also missed 2 or 3 open goals.
Well, I haven't had a chance to look back at the game. I keep intending to look at the highlights, and so I've seen like on 22nd minute he misses a chance, he puts a one in near post. 25 minutes, Lewis Skelly fires in a cross, Gyökeres puts it over from 3 yards. 34, Gyökeres a bit clumsy with a shot, and the keeper came out to block. He misses the one that Martinelli puts in. So yeah, him and Madueke, shall we say, is the other one that are always there or thereabouts, just missing that end product, the end product piece. So it's sometimes you just have one of these players who needs 10 shots to score one. But look, he scored that great goal. I said that's exactly the archetypal goal that we expect. And look, even if the goalkeeper got hand to it, I think he hit it too hard, so no chance saving it. But then very quickly afterwards, and this is where I think Calafiori showed his rustiness. He did look a bit rusty yesterday. I hadn't noticed what had happened. But apparently, he when you see it on the replay, it's a clear pull on the Kairat play. I don't think he needed to do it. Just a bit lazy, just caught out, and it was a clear penalty. Yeah, they score. Fair enough. Kepa went the wrong way, as he tends to do, and nicely done. But then, 8 minutes, that was in the 7th minute, and then 9 minutes later, Havertz gets his goal. I think Calafiori made amends for the penalty. He sort of did some good footwork to get the ball out in a tight area. Finds its way, up to Kai. I think Gyökeres does his NFL piece, being a blocker. Kai cuts inside. Great finish. What was the goalkeeper doing?
He was trying to dive into the away end to try and get a drink or something like that, but yeah, he massively mistimed and misjudged the flight of that ball.
I thought it went into the far post, and he was really. And then when you looked at the replay, it went more central. He sort of like just dived out of the way. I don't know.
I think the commentator, I mean, obviously with the massive the asterisks, but I guess just to solidify that point, the commentator said I think they've only played like a few times in the past few months, just because their league season would have ended because of the weather. Yeah. So I think it's probably one of those things. Maybe if he was more in tune with the beat of a league season, he doesn't quite misjudge it that badly. But
it was very funny. Very, but their season ended in November. They won the season, and so it's their off season. I think they played Bruges, and they must have played a couple of friendlies somewhere. So yes, definitely we're playing them in their off season, but still, come on, but very funny, but well deserved. Kai, I'm going to focus on Kai going in, cutting inside, smashing it home. Really happy for him. And we talked about the various missed chances, and then Martinelli. Again, Norgard involved, flick to Havertz. Havertz looked offside, but obviously wasn't. He sort of, I don't know if he's shooting or he's passing. He's thinking passing. Gyökeres comes in, misses it, or poor touch, and then Nelly puts it in. And I don't think it was going in. And so good on Nelly putting in, because we all thought in the stadium it was Nelly that put the ball in, and he was offside. So we're going, why he didn't? But it was Havertz that was they were looking at, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. And Nelly did have to put it in because it wasn't going in, was it?
I haven't actually seen it back, Tabs, but I think just based on the fact of looking at live score and the assist being given to Gyökeres, I would assume that it was actually going wide, and then
Right.
Martinelli putting it in.
Okay. Well, good on Nelly. He's keeping up his stats. I think it's only Thierry Henry who scored 7 goals in one Champions League campaign, who's got more than Martinelli's got 6 this season. So he's on to break Thierry Henry's record, and unless he does in a single Champions League campaign. So good on him. And then I said a few more chances. Say Madueke, has a chance. I think Gyökeres has another chance, but we're going in 3-1 at half time. Pretty much perfect. We're all happy. We make the subs. I think they're all premeditated, and then it was second half. I think Kairat were more open in the first half. In this one, it was basically 2 bags of 5. It was defense against attack, and that was it but we didn't have the urgency. We didn't have the intensity. We created things, but no end product, and it got a whole. Our XG in the second half was 0.75. Which is compared to the 3.19 in the first half, it's just sort of like just goes to show you that we were sort of trying a bit, but nothing opened up for it. Nothing for open up for us. Odegaard having a couple of headers, which was a bit bizarre. Madueke doing Madueke things, getting into dangerous places, but not doing much with it. I think Eze was sort of like flitting in about. But
what was your view on Madueke's performance?
I want to like him, and I do like him, and it's a bit like Saka at the moment, that he's like a he's influencing, but he's not getting that final touch, either scoring or but he's causing issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like in the Man United game, it was frustrating, like the overrunning of the ball, the overhitting of the ball, and stuff like that. So it's just getting that, because I think he'll get in there and he causes danger because he gets the ball in the box, and then it's up to everyone else to do something with it. Now look, that ridiculous moment where he kicked it into the the upper tier from 5 yards out, and the upper tier, not behind the goal, but square to the goal. So I think he's a threat. It's just maybe a bit more due care and attention with that final piece. I think that's us at the moment. We need to have that due care and attention with that final action, like Martinelli against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Do your job properly. Some of the Man United bits, and this is an attack and defense, that due care. And so he's just got an element of that. I heard someone, I heard a pod the other day, likening him to Traore from Wolves and Fulham, and
it's a bit harsh.
It's a bit hard. But we all make a joke because whenever he comes on, we just see a man greased up in baby oil. But that's all that you're going to get, because there's no end product. He can't even cross it. At least Madueke gets into more threatening positions. So
my brain,
what do you think?
Last night immediately, the only player that I could think of was Theo Walcott. It was like watching because when Theo Walcott first broke into the Arsenal team, it was almost like his legs were moving that quick that his brain couldn't catch up.
Yeah.
And it was like he was almost like a couple of seconds behind what his physical body was actually doing. And you seen that with his finishing, like when he didn't have time to think about it, it was almost like perfectly.
Yeah, instinctive finishing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel watching Madueke in general, but specifically last night, just with some of the kind of overhit balls and running into blind alleys, it felt like his brain just was either working too fast for his legs or his legs were working too fast for his brain. But whatever it was, they were out of sync.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think an interesting performance. I think he was certainly involved. He was certainly a live wire. But like you said, if he can put, he's one of those players. If he can put the final pass together, the final cross, the final shot, the final action, he's a phenomenal player because he causes so many issues. It's just part.
You can't. Well, the one good thing is you can't ignore him. Yeah. So as a defensive unit, you can't ignore him because you can't just hope, oh well, he's giving the ball, he's going to do jack all with it. So at least he's a distraction for. Look, now you're trying to win the big competitions. We need more than distractions on the pitch. So again, hoping it will come. I'm not concerned. And I think maybe again a chaos merchant that something will come from it. So I think the biggest things to come out of that second half were the two substitutions that came on. So Martinelli and Gyökeres go off in the 77th minute. Jesus and a kid called Bailey Joseph comes on, and he's a 17-year-old left winger. Apparently he's been at the club since he was 6. So the only thing I've been at since I'm 6 is like. I don't know. It's just weird to think that being in one place since the age of 6. That's nuts, And and he signed his first pro contract about 7 months ago. So it's amazing that you're making your Arsenal debut in the Champions League. To do that. So look, congratulations to him. And then 12 minutes later, in the 89th minute, we had Ibrahim who signed his first pro contract this week. He's been at the club since 7.
Big boy. Very big boy.
Yeah, we were talking. He seems to be the taller. He needs to fill out width wise, but he's got the height on him. So good to see him. Good to see him come on. And again, nuts that it's the Champions League that you're getting your first chance in the first team. So I think again. It's a moment for them. I don't think it's going to lead to too much, but it's still a nice. Well, yeah, it was chalk and cheese actually. Imagine I'd love them to both come on at the same time because Bailey Joseph was quite small and Ibrahim was really tall. It would have been quite funny on the sideline, both waiting to come on. But no,
it's a couple of substitutions that makes you think your football career might be done, though, isn't it? When you're seeing players that age coming on.
It was done a long time ago. So they were the 926th and 927th players to play a competitive game for Arsenal, and we aren't going to be the 28th and 29th. So there we go. there we go. So and then one final piece, a bit sloppy. They got their second goal, cross on the left. Hincapié was, I think, already in the changing room, and they got an easy header. It would have been interesting if there was 5 more minutes what happened, but look, think about the team that we had. It was 4 minutes into or 3 minutes or whatever into the time, so I think it was just it was fine. Well, one other thing I saw yesterday or noticed yesterday, we took about 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 short corners. Any thoughts on that, or just an opportunity to try something?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Probably just I think historically we would have maybe thought set pieces weren't repeatable, but I think this season and last we've certainly proved that they can be. But that's not to say that other teams won't kind of catch on, especially because we've already played them all once now. And we're going into the round of playing them all twice. They probably will have caught on of kind of attacking runs from Gabriel. So it might just have been that, just an opportunity to try something different. Again, like, you're not trying it against a similar level, so how much value is there really in that? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it was just maybe also didn't have Gabriel on the pitch, didn't have Declan Rice to take them from that side, didn't have Saka from the other, so it might just have been a bit of a horses for courses kind of thing. What about you?
My only take is, look, these are the times to try these things out.
Mm.
My take is that in the Champions League, the defense get very soft free kicks in their favour at corners. You know, they literally, corner comes in, you throw yourself down to the ground, you get a free kick, and we saw it not last year or 2 years ago against Porto. It's like literally nothing happened. You breathe. So I think maybe it's a way to say, okay, look, let's here work out another way that we can take advantage of being in an attacking position, dead ball situation. You know, maybe draw someone out, because as soon as you did it, you draw out a defender, and you know it's Odegaard to Madueke, and Odegaard's not going to get the ball in the box. So my sense is maybe it's just a sense of soft free kicks get given all the time, so that maybe nullifies that, and it might work out better, because you know, with all the corners and the melee, free kicks get easily given. But if you come out and cross it, I don't know, it just feels, even though it's the same thing, you're less likely to get the soft free kick. So let's see what happens. You know, if we play a big game in the knockout stages and we bring it in, then we'll see. We created some danger from it, but nothing much. So, but yeah, again, something interesting.
Yeah, I think that is a good point though, because I had almost like forecasted forward to the knockout stages and kind of went, the set pieces are going to be a dominant feature. Like they've been so handy in the Premier League, and it's a much more physical league. Therefore, that should translate into goals, and a lot more well, not a lot more, but kind of relatively more opportunities and goals from set pieces in the Champions League. But you are correct that that they are more likely to give free kicks away. And maybe it's kind of like almost a yin and a yang in the Premier League and the Champions League this season. Like the Champions League's been a lot more open, a lot more goals, but less set piece goals. But the Premier League's a bit tight, a bit more set piece goals, a lot more physical. It's interesting. Yeah,
well, no, I mean, I said it last week. I think the Premier League is far harder than the Champions League. The Champions League's at this phase. Yeah, it's far harder, and it's easier for us because you said teams don't. We haven't played a team other than the second half yesterday. I can't remember a team that went and just played low blocks against us. They don't seem to do that, because again, you play against Inter last week. They're not going to stay at home and play a low block against Arsenal. They're champions of Italy, or they're top of the league in Italy. They've got to try and stamp their authority. You know, Bayern Munich come to us. They're not going to play a low block. Okay, they can play defensively well, and they'll set up structurally to nullify us. But so. Or even when we play against, in Bilbao, or when we play Madrid at home, you're right. It's a far more open league for us, and it suits us better, and there's a different mentality around it. So you're right. You're right. There's a bit of a yin and yang, and you can use certain tactics and certain things in a Champions League, and vice versa. So, and look, you were talking about it, knockout stages and the Champions League. So it's all done and dusted. He said, played 8, won 8, which is nuts. With a 19 goal difference. So that's pretty impressive. And it was Bayern were behind us on 21 points, with 14, and so the top 8, so who automatically go through to the round of 16 are Arsenal, Bayern, Liverpool. And you were going to say about the relative strength. So we have Tottenham, Barcelona, Chelsea, Sporting came from nowhere, I think, and Man City. Yeah, so it sort of goes to show the strength of the Premier League, but also the fact that the group phase of the Champions League isn't as strong as potentially it could be.
Yeah. I think because there's kind of been that. I think it was even actually our friend Moz again saying something last week about, it's a shame not to win the Premier League against stronger opponents, and I found myself just like, I think it's a completely odd perspective to think that this is a poorer league than 10 years ago. Like, potentially some of the players aren't as glamorous, but like some of the players that are sitting in the bottom half of that Premier League, I think it's never been harder to win the Premier League than it is now. You've got arguably, well, going into this season, there was 3 teams that could have won it. Obviously, Liverpool fell away quite quickly, but up into like the teams that can get into the top 4, top 5, there's 9 or 10, and even then, when you're excluding the likes of Brighton and Brentford and Bournemouth from within that, they are incredibly well organised, well coached, with very technical players like Semenyo that's just went to Man City and is lighting it up. So I think, again, caveat of the kind of Champions League not necessarily being as strong, but I mean Real Madrid aren't in the top 8, like Barcelona aren't in the top 8, and like I think it just shows that.
I know Barcelona finished 5th, so they did get through. But I think you mean PSG. PSG finished, yeah.
Exactly. I think it just shows that the strength of the Premier League, and that it's kind of becoming ever more. I
think the Moses point, he's right and he's wrong. It's semantics. I think it's more competitive. So the Premier League is more competitive than it has been.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the money and the coaching has meant that because of that. So any team on their day can beat anyone else, and it's always been that, but I think it's even more so now. And also when you're in that bunch in the middle, you're all taking points of each other. So so what if you have two teams that run away with it? Does that make it in a way a worse league? Then actually no one's running away with it, and it's harder. So you're trying to think, well, have the teams at the top regressed, so they're matching up the lesser teams, or are the lesser teams caught up with the better teams? And I think it's a mixture of both. So the time of 100 points, or 90 points, that's a different era. And I think it's more equal. Now, is the quality as high? As that when you had De Bruyne and Silva and all the other City players and company and so on, or Aguero and things like that. It's hard. They were really, really dominant, but I don't know if that's a reflection on them or a reflection on the rest of the league. And again, I think it's a bit of both. So no, it's weird in a way. This helps us because the more competitive the league is, the less you need to be that uber team, because you just need to stay above the rest, and you just need to be just that little bit more competitive than everyone else. But you're right, yeah. And also the fact that there are, is it Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Chelsea? So five teams, 14, yeah, 5 teams, and Man City in the top 8. I also think the English clubs are stronger in the autumn and the winter.
Yeah,
we are battle hardened from day one. We have got such a tough league, and whereas the other clubs, the mainland European clubs, I think they come to the fore back end when it becomes to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, because they can put their feet up and their focus is on this. I'm being generalistic here, but you look at Paris Saint-Germain, they played their strongest team every week in the Champions League. You look at Bayern Munich, they played their strongest team in the Champions League when it comes to the knockout phases. At this phase, they're still mixing and matching. They're just making sure that they've won their domestic league, so then they can just focus on this. So actually, to like Real Madrid, though they took the hit last year, they'll take the hit this year. They're still not the best team around. So I think their strength says more about how we deal with stuff in the winter and the autumn versus other European teams. And then there's strength of schedule, and also the money. The money also means that we are really good. We have some very good teams, and I think some of the European teams, I think they still haven't cottoned on, because last year it was the first time, and I don't think anyone realised the benefits, the pros and cons. And I think maybe in 2-3 years' time they'll cotton on saying, actually, we need to avoid those 2 games. We need to be better, and I think eventually that will normalise. At the moment, I think people are still figuring things out, and maybe it's fine, an extra couple of games. And actually, if you are Real Madrid or Paris Saint-Germain, does an extra couple of games really make that much of a difference? Whereas for us, it does. An extra 2 games on top of 65 or whatever it is we don't want that. Whereas for other teams, I don't think it matters so much.
Yeah, it's kind of an extension of your point that you've just made, isn't it? Like they can rest players in the league if they so choose to do so, whereas we, City, Liverpool, can't do that. So an extra 2 games in February makes a difference to them. It's probably much of a muchness, I would think.
Yeah, so in terms of who then in the knockout, in the first sort of, playoff phase, you've got Real, Inter, Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Atalanta, Bayer Leverkusen, Dortmund, Olympiacos. And then we come down to like clubs like Club Brugge, Galatasaray, Monaco, Karabag, Bodo Glimt, and then obviously Benfica. But the likes of the fact that Bodo Glimt and Karabag have got through, it's nuts. And even Club Brugge, but to get in the top 24, you need 9 points, 3 wins. So it also shows that it's not hugely difficult, to get in. So
tell that to Antonio Conte over in Naples, Taps.
Say that again.
I said, tell that to Antonio Conte.
Oh yeah, well yeah, So Naples did. Oh my gosh, yeah. Naples did. Yeah, that was Chelsea. So like, come on, they were winning. Yeah, you can't be letting Chelsea do that to you. That's enough. Yeah, I mean there were some interesting results yesterday, like Atletico Madrid losing 2-1 at home to Bodo Glimt. Now I don't know what teams they put out. Yeah, was it Atalanta? They also lost away to Union Saint-Gilloise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, and this is to get into the top. If they'd have won that game, they would be top 8. And knock City out. So it was like there was some point, and PSG drawing at home to Newcastle. Now PSG aren't the same team, so yeah, some odd results, and I think some teams might be kicking themselves a bit as a result of those results. But so what does that mean for us? So we can play in the round of 16, either Olympiacos, Borussia Dortmund, Leverkusen, or Atalanta. Any preferences?
Not particularly. I guess the I suppose the glamour tie of it all would be against Dortmund, but I don't think, I kind of associate Dortmund with the kind of high atmosphere, high octane football that they had under Klopp. But I don't think they're close to being that team.
They're not the same team. No, it's not the same.
So to be honest, at the risk of sounding entirely blasé about kind of knockout stage of the Champions League, I'm pretty happy with all 4 options. I think probably Olympiacos would be the preference if I had to kind of nail my.
How many times do we play them? I don't think we've beaten them. This is the thing. So we need to pay back. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I think there's a bit of a retribution there, but I think Olympiacos, probably Dortmund last, and then 50-50 between Atlanta and Leverkusen. Obviously, if it was Leverkusen of last season, avoid at all costs when they had.
Or 2 seasons ago, wasn't it?
Was it 2 seasons ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
You seem to have fallen off a bit of a cliff this season.
Selfishly, Dortmund, because that's the most away tickets. 3,000 will go. So I'd hopefully get a ticket for that one, and it's Germany. We haven't been to Germany away day. I went to Atalanta last year. So Leverkusen, or I think, and Olympiacos, apparently it never sells out, but it's a long flight and might be a bit more expensive. So selfishly, I'd be looking at one of the German clubs to do that. But yeah, we shouldn't be afraid of any of those teams.
No.
Okay.
I think one of the priorities, I think for me anyway, would be to, obviously, I think it's away first leg, isn't it?
Yeah. We're going to be at home for all the legs now.
Oh, the second leg. Yeah. So I think as far as possible, and the timings is what, mid-March, is it?
Yeah, something like that. What is it? So the round of 16 is the 9th and the 9th to 11th, and 16th to 18th of March.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who we've got in the Premier League in and around then, but I can't imagine. City's not till April, but I think if possible, if we could get as much of a result in that first leg to mean that we could potentially even look to rest players. I'm thinking like
we did against PSV last year.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we get 7-1, but yes,
something similar, just so we can rest players in and around a key crunch point for the. I think there's FA Cup weeks around there as well, isn't there? Potentially. So if we could, it's obviously being very, very, very ambitious to say we could. Wrap something. Well, maybe not. We did see it against PSV last year, but if possible, if we could do that, that would be much better.
That would be handy. Yeah, and look, and then in the quarters, we could meet one of Benfica, Bodo Glimt, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Man City, or Sporting Lisbon. And this it gets ridiculous. But again, and if we were to play Man City, the second leg would be at home before we play them in the league. Now, I've not verified this. I found some bloke on the internet said this, so it must be true. So that's that. And look, then there afterwards, we could play Liverpool, Tottenham, Barca, or Chelsea. And the one thing we know for certain, we cannot play Bayern Munich until the final. Should both teams get there. So that's that. So look, we'll worry about it. I think there's a draw this Friday, and then there's another draw on the 30th of March. I can't remember, but the 27th of February. So I think there's a draw this Friday, which will put people into brackets, and then the final draw is on the 27th, and then you'll have the route to Budapest mapped out. So there we go. But look, I think it's impressive. I think people have noticed us in Europe, at least. No one's going to want to play us. I think in Europe it favours us, but it's a cup competition, so stupid stuff can happen, and a lot on the day can make all the difference. So who knows? But I think we're well set, and long may it can continue. And actually on that, look, there was the discussion. I think even we've mentioned him too many times today already. he put in the often poll, which one would you rather win, the Premier League or the Champions League? And what did you say, or what would you say?
I was Premier League all day long. I was big Premier League. I obviously want to win the Champions League, but I think I would just almost like the romanticism of just having the Premier League back at the Emirates is certainly a priority for me. I think the Champions League is maybe something, obviously wouldn't turn it down even slightly, but it's maybe something you win after winning a couple of Premier Leagues, one or two.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm Premier League. It's, as I said, the cup games, there's a lot of luck on the day. Anything can happen. You don't necessarily have to be the best team to win the Champions League. Invariably you are, but it's sometimes it doesn't. So it's a cup competition. So there's that element to it. No, Premier League, and if you win it, and also the Champions League, more world renowned, and you have that kudos and all that. But I think the Premier League just shows week in, week out, your bread and butter. You are the best team. You have that. We get that under our belt, and then we can worry about the rest. The rest we can build on that. And I want to win the Premier League to build on. And a lot of people say, we haven't won the Champions League. It would be nice to have that, to add that to the resume. And we can't sing Champions of Europe, all that bullshit. I don't know. Just like week in, week out, it's where I'm viscerally, invested. Champions League, I want to win it and stuff like that, but I don't care about Bayern Munich or Barcelona or Real Madrid. If we lose to them, I'm more annoyed at the fact that we're out of the competition. It's Real Madrid, whereas, you lose to Man United, you lose to Leeds, it's like, fuck. It's just more there internally, and once we've got that out of the way, then I don't care. But Premier League, and I want, and that would be for me our focus. I'd say like just everything onto the Premier League, and then let the rest take care of itself. So we'll see.
We were at risk of, what was it, a couple of seasons back when we played Villa, we had a couple of Champions League.
There was the Bayern Munich game either side of it, and
it kind of distracted slightly, and maybe took a couple of eyes off of that Villa game, and it was 2-0. So I'm very much same.
Well, I don't know. Well, hopefully that's what was. Well, I don't know. That's Trossard missing from 1 yard out, but there we go. Anyway, that trauma. Let's not forget about that. Anyway, let's quickly do your 3-word reviews, and then we'll do a preview of Leeds quickly. So thank you for sending them in. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, due to the lack of interest in yesterday's game, didn't get many, but that's fine. On TikTok, Gianluca, the boy said first in history, and I think he's making reference to the 8 out of 8. Now, I'm not down with that, because it's only the second time we've had this format. So to say we're the first in history to do it is sort of like, I get it, but it's only been two versions of this tournament. So I'm not going to be big on we've got this record and all the rest. It's nice to have, and we're the first to do it, but there we go. Ares.chaos says out the way. Yep, definitely. On Blue Sky. Threads. On Blue Sky, and this is Sid Silk. Really? Who cares? Yeah, exactly. On Threads, we had DJ Boocat. Kai's the limit. He is. Ram Sizzle. Yay Gunners Yay. Deschamps Gill. Hilarious. Ridiculous. Over. Yeah, there were elements of that yesterday. I can never know how to say this name. Mimi Kelini Lala. 8 perfect wins. There were. Flood Calm. Won every match, indeed. And North Bank, Steph on the North Bank pod. People can't count, and that's because when I asked for the 3-word reviews, people were putting in whole paragraphs. So it's just the 3 that I need. Thank you very much. On X, Dubs for Sam, still missing chances. Yeah, we are. And Ask Cannon Picks, aka Ian from the Grove podcast. Havertz York relationship. Yeah, let's hope that's a budding relationship with a big heart emoji next to it. And then on to the Grove WhatsApp group. Sasha, game to forget. Matt Stacey, welcome back, Kai. Kusiva, he's worried. Please stop conceding. Yeah, I'm here. I'm with you. Normie, Christ almighty, boys. Oh dear. Right. Greedo, very concerning defence. Moz, Kairat scored 2. Yeah, they did. And Alex Monroe is playing fast and loose with the rules. Inch good as, in one word, a mile. Inch good as mile. And I'm assuming that's the onside, offside decision. So there we go. Thank you for those. And always like to see them. And yeah, let's see what you send after we play Leeds on Saturday, 31st of January, 3:00. So sort of almost behind closed doors, as in we're not going to have the spotlight on us. We can go away, go to Ellen Road. It's match day 24. Hoping to make amends for the United game. Forget about it and start the rest of the season and really march on with our title challenge. And look, before we sort of get your thoughts on Leeds, any reflection on United? Anything on what Arteta said about trying to make it fun now, trying to de-stress the situation, and let's all get on board the fun boat, to paraphrase what he said? Or have you moved on and just want to focus on Leeds?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it wasn't great, was it? And it certainly didn't help that kind of one of my really good friends from my time in New Zealand is a massive Man United fan. So I had a bit of a torturous voicemail to listen to after that. But
I ignored all the WhatsApps from my friends. Man United friends are just like, "Are you alive? Are you okay?"
Yeah, they come crawling out the woodwork, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, the first 15 minutes of the second half was the kind of the thing that concerned me most, because we just kind of retreated within ourselves. We just went into that tortoise shell mode, and very much a similar vibe to that second half of the Liverpool game, which when you're seeing it against Liverpool, you can maybe put it down to a one-off. But then it's happened again.
It's happened again.
Yeah, it was slightly concerning. But I think just the kind of passage of time between now and then has helped me get over it a little bit. There was obviously concerns about the attack, but I was also concerned about how ordinary Casemiro and Mainu made Rice and Zubimendi look in the middle of that midfield. Like, I mean, for the Dorgu goal, they were popping it about, and it gave me kind of flashbacks to that first 15 minutes against PSG in the first leg of the Champions League a little bit. But yeah, it was.
And how are you with the Arteta and the boys, like the meeting? Do you buy into all this stuff, or the soft skill stuff? So, shall we say? A lot of people are sort of, me and you are in sort of corporate world, so we're sort of used to elements of this, and it's quite interesting when you see those that aren't and those are, like how they react to these type of things. Like, how do you feel about, they had a meeting and open discussion and reflect, and now he's like, he's getting all the positivity vibes coming out, and has said, like, once everyone on board, the boat, the club, the supporters, the players and stuff like that. How do you feel about that?
To be honest, I am open to anything that he thinks could help, like, steady the ship, to be honest, because there's a lot of noise outside the club, and even within the stadium there's some murmurings. So I'm open to it all, to be honest. Like, I think in my professional life, those sorts of things don't tend to land that well with me. But I'm also probably more on the cynical side. You're like Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, or maybe
you're not a 20-something millionaire professional footballer.
Exactly. So I think it just comes down to types of personalities in the dressing room, and I think if he's best placed to know that. So without wanting to sit on the fence too much, I think I would back him on thinking that it's the right thing to do. He sees them day in, day out. He sees the mood of the group. Although it is his first managerial job, he probably is trying everything and anything that he thinks of at the moment. So there's not necessarily any proof that it'll work, but I don't think that's a reason not to try.
No, I think it's all about messaging. I think it's all just and I think this was maybe a message for the supporters. and stuff like that. So again, very often when you hear stuff in press conferences, it's either directed at the players or directed at the supporters or directed at the board sort of thing. And this, I think, is very much down to the supporters. So it's sort of like saying, we've got this, we know what we need to do. We're going to leave no stone unturned, get on board, be part of the journey. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be fun. So I think there's elements out there. Proof is in the pudding. You win, it's going to be fun. You play shit and lose, the fun's not quite there. So with that in mind, what are you looking forward to and not looking forward to as far as Leeds is concerned?
I think looking forward to the opportunity to get back into winning ways after United. But on the other side of that same coin, I don't think it's an easy game. Although I think we've won our last 2 trips to Ellen Road. The first one in particular, I remember the black kit season.
Yeah,
we went 1-0 up. They missed a penalty, but I remember that full second half. It was backs to the wall. I think maybe 2 seasons ago it was slightly easier. What was it, 3 or 4-1? So if we can get a performance and a result like that second game, I'll be much happier. I know it doesn't really count for anything, but the fact that it's not like a 12:30 kickoff or a 5:30 under the lights is, I'm happy about that. Like,
it's out of the media spotlight sort of thing. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the media spotlight as well as just like, I don't know, early game on a Saturday. Like,
just adds to it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the key thing that I'm not looking forward to is just having that anxiety back. It was like a blissful oasis on last night. Sorry,
it was.
But having when that lineup drops at quarter to 2 on Saturday afternoon, it will come flooding back. And I'm actually going to. Me and a group of friends have got a day out planned in the West End of Glasgow on Saturday, so I'll be sitting with my phone and my phone charger glued to it from a pub in Glasgow. So
wow, can you put the football on, please? Oh no, God, you won't be on here. You'll find some dodgy stream. So yeah, indeed. But you say, look, we won 5-0 earlier this season. We've played in the last 8 meetings, 1-7, drew 1, lost 1. And you said, there was the black kit one. Saka scored that great goal. We won 1-0. They missed that penalty. We've beaten Leeds in the last few occasions at 5-0, 4-1 in 23. That 1-0, 2-1, and then we beat them away. Was it 2021 in 18th of December, 4-1. 2-0 at the Emirates, 4-2 at the Emirates, and then it was 0-0 back in 2020. So we've got a good record against them. So we have that, but those in generally count for nothing really. But it's just nice to have that there. I'm looking forward to forgetting about Man United, starting the rest of our Premier League campaign. It starts now. We've got 15 games to go, 14 games to go. It starts now. This is the beginning of the end, shall we say, and just not looking forward to these same old issues, no reaction and not winning. So how do you think?
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think on that as well, I almost, just because of the more recent results, I don't care about performance. Just get me 3 points, half 5, I want 3 points, 0.01 XG, 3 own goals, I don't care. Give me the 3 points and just get back.
And look, in terms of how we line up, it will be fully rested from midweek, fully fit squad, given where players like Havertz and Calafiori are. So we're going to be going big. So it's going to be Raya. So the only decisions are left back. So we're going to have Raya, Timber, Saliba, Big G. I reckon Hincapié, because I think Calafiori still looked a bit rusty. I don't know if 45 minutes was enough to get him into what will be a really tough game. I think a really aggressive game against Leeds. So I'd go Hincapié. And then Rice, Zubi. I'm going Merino here. So I don't think Havertz could start. I don't think you go into a Premier League game thinking you're going to take Havertz off. So I'd go Merino here, because I think Leeds, in the summer, they bought big. I don't mean big as in spent, they big players, tall players. So I think again, it's going to be a robust game. And then Trossard, Gyökeres, Saka. So again, Gyökeres against the big players rather than Jesus. What would you think in terms of those positions? So basically, it's the Odegaard position, the left back, and up front. What would you go with?
Yeah, I think Merino does play, but I think he plays in 9. I think he goes back.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I think we've played our best football this season with that Merino Eze. kind of combination. So I think it's Merino, Eze, and then at left back, I think, I agree with you, in Capie. I think Odegaard sits on the bench for this one, which I'm not too concerned about. Might do him some good to come out the spotlight slightly. But yeah, I think Trossard, Saka, Merino front three is what I think will happen, and is what I would go for.
Yeah, it seems Odegaard, there's battling games up north, cliche type. He just doesn't seem to be in for those. He seems to be tackling more recently, but I don't know. I just don't think it suits him at the moment. So yeah, I'd say put him out and say, look, we've got to go there, win our duels, win the first ball, second balls, keep it simple, keep the ball, but go for the team. And look, we are objectively the better team. Yeah, Leeds are bottom of the table, towards the bottom of the table for a reason, but they will have vociferous support behind them. You know, they have got some decent results. So look, in terms of their home form, they've sort of played 11, won 5, drew 4, lost 2, scored 19 against 13. So they got a positive goal difference. The away form is where they struggle. They've only won 1 and lost 7. So that's why they're sort of sitting 16th on 26 points. Like 1 point above Forest and 2 points behind Palace, and like their goal difference -7. But it's their home form keeping them afloat. They got +6 at home, -13 goal difference away, and like they beat. They drew. They beat. Was it they beat Liverpool? Didn't they? They drew 3-3 with Liverpool.
I think they beat Chelsea.
I think they beat Chelsea 3-1. Drew 3-3 with Liverpool. Yeah, so they've had some decent results, but they also had some mixed results. You know, losing 4-3 to Newcastle. They drew 1-0 with Everton. They beat Fulham 1-0. So yeah, a bit like us. There's been some high-scoring games. Man City 3-2 that they lost. They had the Man United one, which was 2-2. So, but again, their home form. And look, Calvert-Lewin seems to be on form. He scored 9 goals. This was a statistic that I think there was a statistic that worried me. No side has lost fewer league games than Leeds since the start of December. And they sit 16th but ranked 10th in XG table, so they're underperforming. So yeah, look, I think again they're going to be strong, they're going to be quick. I think they're going to be direct. I think they get the ball up quickly, take lots of shots, take lots of crosses. But I think then maybe they don't have the amount of control. They can be pressured and don't really have much of a plan B.
As you're kind of going through and describing that, you're almost describing like a little bit of a Newcastle light, aren't you? And I feel like that's what Saturday is. Like it's Newcastle, maybe like an Aldi or a Lidl version of Newcastle, like physical, loud, tough away day. Kind of like you said, it's cliche time, but tough away day, middle of winter. So it's kind of almost like there's some slight parallels. Like we dropped points against Man City in the kind of game week before, needing to go to
Newcastle,
get a win. Points, but get a win.
A win, but I don't know if I could take a 96-minute winner, please. That'll be horrible. But look, they play a high defensive line. But I think they are driven a bit by emotion. So let's see. So take the emotion out of the game. Keep hold of the ball. So we may have to be boring, and it's maybe we're better away, because when we play that type of football, you don't have the crowd so on your back. So we just need to kill the game, kill the atmosphere. Don't give them a sniff. Don't give them anything. It's going to be one of those games like it's 0-0, and then suddenly they get a tackle in, and then the crowd gets up and it goes crazy. So we just got to really kill the game, either through possession or just being better and scoring. So with that in mind, because I know you've got to go in 2 minutes, what's your prediction for the game? What you're going with score-wise?
I think Leeds will score. So it'll come down to whether we can score 2 or more, which I think we will. I'm going to go 3-1 with Saka to get back on the score sheet.
Okay, good. I'm going 2-1. I don't know how it's going to be, but 2-1, maybe 1-0 to us, 1 or 2-1 to us. So there we go. Okay, so we're going to be back 7 points clear, because Villa and City played Spurs, and Spurs are on their annual let's lose to City, promotion or whatever it is. And there we go. So they'll be happy to take the L, but I'm not sure they have much of a choice because they're rubbish and they're at home. So there we go. And Villa play Brentford at home the following day. So look, we need this, get back to 7 points clear, and then put it back onto the others to catch up. So look, sorry about that. I was a bit rushed towards the end, but thank you, Andy, for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. Appreciate it.
Not a problem, my friend. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Thank you very much. And look, you can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, all the socials, on our YouTube channel. Find us on the podcast apps at the Grove AFC. We're going to do a hot off the pitch after the Leeds game, so keep an eye out for that. And if I can get the technology working, this one will happen. And yeah, as always, so like, subscribe, leave a rating. Really appreciate it. So there we go. So again, thank you for listening. The season starts now, and until the next time, come on, you Gunners.